So this game I do not have. This is a Luke thing, which oh wait, you don't have it either. That's too bad.
No show and
But
tell for this
you
one.
are. Did you? Okay, so this is Star Wars Imperial Assault. So Star Wars Imperial Assault is the Star Wars version of Descent. Used to be a one verse mini game, and still is, and that's how people will play it. But late last year, they released the co-op Legends of the Alliance app, which turned this into a pure co-op experience. I have not kept up with it because I don't own the game. I understand that they've added more and more content. It took them a little bit of a while to add more content.
Yeah.
But it's still, I rated it pretty high for me. It is number 54 for me, number 31 for Luke. So not like the highest of the highest, but I think we both think it's a very, very solid experience.
It is solid, and even if it was just the one versus all, I mean, I slightly burnt out on the campaign setting, mainly because it felt a bit linear in storyline, but I still enjoyed the, oh, well, this is, a little miniatures game, it's Star Wars, I can control my favourite characters and, level up and you get a choice, and even being the Imperial player, you've got a few tools up your sleeve. The app actually was, I thought it was pretty decent, but you're right, it did have a few bugs on arrival and it needed more content. I had not played my own copy. I'd already sold mine by the time we got to that point, but I had played someone else's with the co-op app and thought, okay, yeah, it's a bit like Descent 2.0 just with Star Wars, and that's handy. I think those sort of games really should have the app, and I don't think they should have it as an afterthought. I think they should have it on the sale. We have released this game, and you can have all versus one and the full co-op. Use the app for help or something. This one had the addition of the skirmish mode, which actually, to be fair, I actually think is the best part of it. But there's still like the co-op aspect of Imperial Assault. I still think it's just great to have a Star Wars miniature game that isn't stupidly difficult and allows for some element of role play, and put the Spotify on with the Star Wars soundtrack and just have it blaring out. It can be a good immersive experience.
Right, and it gets right that Star Wars thing. Like you can have Armada and X-wing that replicate the ship battles and everything. What this does, because the descent system kind of prizes like racing, so to speak, in the sense of like you're racing against time, you're always kind of movement, a lot of movement. Star Wars battles, like it's always like Rebel versus Alliance. The Rebels always running.
Yeah. Well, that was
they're either running away from the Imperials or they're running towards like a quest item or whatever it is, or something that they're trying to achieve. The descent system really, really fits well with the Star Wars motif. And I think if I'm gonna play a Star Wars game at all, and I'm not a huge Star Wars guy, Star Wars okay, but I'm not a huge Star Wars guy. But if I'm gonna play one game, it's going to be Imperial Assault.
Yeah, because the thing with it is that you say that you didn't like the descent thing, that it was racing for objectives, which doesn't make as much sense with the fantasy. You watch the movies, the Star Wars fights, they're pretty kinetic. They're pretty kinetic, aren't they?
That's what they're doing.
I mean, the whole episode 1 battle involves them having to run to get to what's her name, Queen's throne room or something, in time to stop the droids. That's a race against time. That's not them just sitting there having this all-out war. So it does work better for it. Even though
absolutely.
It would be nice if you could actually just have a little battle for a little longer.
So that is number 30, Star Wars Imperial Assault. Number 29. So this game got a lot of love for how under the radar it was coming out. So this was a game that was released at kind of Origins Gen Con time last year. I think Greater Than Games has one game, which is coming up soon. So whenever they do have another game, it's like, okay, all right, there's more games. But this game, as people played it, it just got people. And it hit, and it's just growing and growing and growing in momentum. There's one expansion that came out with a Kickstarter, another expansion coming out later this year, won a bunch of awards. Spirit Island. This was number 18. Wow, I rated it pretty high.
You rated it a lot higher than I did.
Holy moly.
Probably because you played it a lot more.
I have actually not played it that much because it's heavy. So it's probably, would you say... This and like Orleans are like the heaviest games on this whole Top 100. Would you say that?
There must be something heavier. What happened there?
Speaking of heavy.
Oh, come on. Me with the votes. Don't you complain about that one game. Come on.
I put it on top of the escape box and it was so heavy.
I'm just having a look. Let's see. That's
not bad.
Just looking, all the ons okay. That's lighter. I
It's
mean,
all lighter,
some of these
man.
miniature ones, I mean, they have a fair amount of rules and involvement, I guess.
No, this game is brain burning, dude. Like you are going to think about your turns. I love how it
Yeah,
solves the alpha
I,
player problem
I
by
get.
being brain burning.
Yeah, I get you that this one probably is one of the heaviest, if not the heaviest. I just don't think Orleans was that heavy, so I wouldn't go mad on
Right.
that one. But yeah, I've not played this one a huge amount, hence it's more higher up in your list. I've probably only
Mhm.
played it a couple of times, and one of them was a demo anyway. It's something I want to play more, but I've
Right.
probably forgotten too much about it. And the fact that it was very heavy and convoluted was a slight put off because I thought this is not going to be one I'm going to get to the table that easily,
It's
unless you can play it solo, because it's just going to be like, oh god, I've got to teach you all this stuff, lads, and see how this works.
definitely a high barrier for entry. So the motif of the game is that you are playing, it's basically reverse Goa, a reverse Catan, where instead of you being the colonists that are colonizing the land, you are spirits of the land and you're trying to resist the colonists. So it's a really nice way to turn that thematically on its head. So it's like there's a lot of card play. And you're basically, using card play to kind of create combo chains. So like, you have different types of cards that fire off at different times. So you have your fast actions and your slow actions. You have cards that combo off each other. You have cards that combo off of things that other people are doing. There's different, like the phases of the game. There's like a ton of phases in the game. There's like a colonist phase and the event phase and, what the nightmare, the fear phase or whatever. There's so many different aspects to the game. The timing, like I said before, the timing is all kind of wonky. So you have to like make sure that your cards are effective at the very right times, because if you miss that window, then you're just going to misfire and you're not going to be able to do what you want to do. It is a brain burning experience, as I was saying before. You cannot alpha player in this game, which is a big problem in cooperative games, because you have so much to think about on your turn that you got no time for that. and hopefully if you are good enough where you can actually think about your turn and help people, you're playing with other people who will not tolerate your stuff anyway. It is such a good game. I really can't wait for more content to appear for. I can't wait to have more time to appear for. I will say that there are 3 games on my game store, and I have a very kind of Euro-y heavy game store. Like a lot of players are into that. The 3 games that hit all the time: Scythe, Terraforming Mars, and Spirit Island. Those are the 3 games you can, as you walk in, those are the games that you're going to be seeing played. I know the recent games is kind of the quote unquote hotness, but the fact that this game is like with those other 2 juggernauts,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Fair enough.
I really think it
I've not
deserves
seen
it.
anybody locally play the Spirit Island. I don't think it's had a massive UK sort of release of such or distribution from what I've seen. Yeah, far too often I see Terraforming Mars being played. And yeah, occasionally, yeah, fair enough. I see Scythe a few times as well, although sometimes that's me bringing it, so it does kind
Right.
of vary. I want to try it more. It's just that high barrier to entry is one reason why I think I would struggle to rate
Really
it
high.
too highly, because I feel like this is going to be one of those niche like co-ops that's going to be pretty impressive, but only with select people that can play it.
Mm-hmm. That is our number 29, which is Spirit Island. Number 28 is not nearly as heavy.
No.
As a matter of fact, it's probably one of the best party high player count co-ops on this entire list. It is an oldie but goodie. It is a hidden trader game, and it's at its best when it has the hidden trader in there, but it doesn't have to have it, which creates nice tension on the table. And I'm talking about the granddaddy of that genre. Hit him, Luke.
Shadows of the Camelot.
There it is. That is number 19 on your list. Number, what did that put that for me? Man, oh, yeah, 62.
60 something? Yeah. Or something
60 something. So there are games that I enjoy more in the particular hidden trader mode. But I can't deny the power of Shadows. How much success have you had with this in like large player count groups?
Fine, really. I mean, the idea is with that many players, people are still working together, and you've got more people to try and use. Oh, where's that traitor gone? And some people like to play it where they know there's a traitor. I prefer it where you're not certain, because I like that I can't trust anybody motif with it.
Mm-hmm.
And some people will play this without the traitor. That's just wrong. I know, yeah, that technically makes it a full co-op, but it's so much better with a traitor. But no, even with like, I mean, I usually prefer to play this when I have got a big party rather than having only, say, 4 of us do it, because it's just so simple. You know, it looks epic on the table, and people will go, "Oh, I'm not going to understand any of this," until you sort of get into their heads. It's pretty much just playing poker hands. in going to different spots, with the exception of a traitor mechanic. So it's a simple one to do, even though it looks like it's going to be horrendously complicated. But I can get it, I can teach it to new people if I want. It has not hit the table for a while, I'll admit. Do not bother with it. Well, you can get the expansion for the other knights, but do not use it for the Merlin cards. They're just, or the travel cards. They're just way too hard. And now I just got the extra knights because I wanted different player powers. But yeah, it's an oldie, but it's a goodie, because very few co-op games can handle this many players that easily with a traitor and still make it work. And two things really also sell it to me. One, the Monty Python gags that come from this is ridiculous. You know, I cannot play this game without hearing a Monty Python reference, usually from me anyway, and it will just constantly be said, the same jokes. On top of that, the whole system where you're technically not allowed to say what cards are in your hand. You know, it's, on reflection, it's a bit silly, but I adamantly, other people can do it, but I always adamantly personally follow that rule. Because it's just hilarious to be saying, you know, it's like, can you help me though? Have you got any like 1s, 4s, and 5s? And it's that, well, I got a couple of champions, you know, somebody who was a runner-up, he didn't do so well.
You're that guy.
And then, oh, hang on,
that guy?
I'm just going to the Lady of the Lake. I'm just going to chuck some peasants into this river. You know, it's like, and it's like, oh, I got a squire. Will he do? You know, I'm deliberately being true to that rule, regardless of whether it's a detriment to the group or not. But I just find it hilarious to be discussing things like that. So, yeah, it's a oldie but a goodie bit. So I say, it's not always cold to the new people.
That's right. And I got it too. Look at that. It's not going to leave my collection. I love it. That is Shadows over Camelot, which is our number 28.
Needs to hit the table again soon, I think. Yeah.
Number 27 is all you. Number three on your list. I cannot believe it.
I mean,
number 78 on my list.
Even if it is mostly solo, I'll admit. But, oh, God.
This is number 27. Show him, Luke. Show him.
Here's that. Well, here's part of it. like one expansion, Streets of Arkham. I've got the other expansion, like box, Sanctum of Twilight. I think the new one in there that I've yet to play, but I'm going to be reviewing that soon. # plug. But I think it'll probably be out by the time this comes out anyway. But oh god, this is heavy. There we go. There's the rest of it.
There it is.
So I'm the one with the heavy boxes. But yeah, Mansions of Madness. Now, I actually wasn't a fan of the first one, I'll admit. I thought the first one was like, it's okay, but it was prone to breaking. It wasn't as good as all that, and I don't know, there was just something about it that just wasn't working. I felt it was a bit too fiddly and just wasn't like produced as well as it could be. So when I knew that they were doing a second edition version, it's like, okay, you have potential here. Oh, you're using an app, fantastic, because I was pretty much on board with that ever since XCOM and some of the other games with apps. It's like, apps are the future, we should use them in more games. As soon as I played it, and I played it with a full complement of people, so we played pretty much an all-nighter to play the scenario, because it does take a while with too many players, hence keep it to like 2 to 3 max. But I fell in love with this. Absolutely in love, because this gave me something like, it gave me a very rich... If you imagine like the Betrayal on House on the Hill one earlier, like some people will play that and go, oh yeah, because I get to play in a horror house and have like a horror themed story or something. Well, play this instead, because this is far better. You know, yes, it's Cthulhu, but it feels like the haunting house thing. You've got these all sorts of different scenarios. You've got downloadable content as well, if you want it. You've got, granted, the miniatures could have been a little better, but I'm not that fussy about miniatures. You know, you at least have them on the board. You've got lots of different ways it plays, and as each expansion has come out, like Elder Sign, they've opened up the scope of what you're doing. Like the original Mansion of Madness, you were mostly in houses, but occasionally you hit like the Innsmouth streets and that. But then you got Streets of Arkham, which suddenly got you... I remember one scenario, it was practically like a Sherlock Holmes story, and part of it's in buildings, but one section of it was just in a town. Like, you come out of this hotel, you go into alleyways, and you go into a little shop, you go into a printing press, a cafe diner, and stuff like that, and you meet all these different people. The app handles everything beautifully. This is probably the best implementation of an app I have seen ever. Handles all the bookkeeping for you, has music, even has story elements for... I'm trying to hold it in frame, but even has story elements for when you do combat. So you say what type of attack you're doing, spell, range, melee, and it will say like you sweep the legs of the cultist as he comes towards you, and then plunge your knife in the shoulder or something. You know, it gives you a cool little thematic story element so you can get immersed. And you know me, thematic immersion, yeah, is why I go mad for this one. I am mad with Mansions of Madness.
I am not as mad.
That was close.
Careful.
I nearly just tipped it on its front. It's a heavy box, truly heavy.
There it is. Not heavy like Spirit Island, knocking over my computer over here.
So why don't you like this one as much?
So I've only played I played the first edition. You know, I had the same experience. It was long, and the DM or the quote unquote overlord or whatever it is, I don't know what you call it, kind of messed things up. It was easy to mess up, so it was like broken.
Yeah.
So they broke it just because of human error. The second one, I only played the base game. I find it very long.
It is with a lot of players, yes. I would cap it at 2 to 3 max, and even then get a move on.
Yeah.
But, you know, I love playing it solo as well, so.
I don't feel the agency. Like, I feel like I'm playing through a movie. I don't feel like I feel like I go through it and I'm done. Like, going through it again, yeah, I know the app is going to generate new stuff for me, but I definitely like the story beats are the same, and you know the same little twist happen. I don't feel like the replayability is there, and at least for the different scenarios, like the replayability is obviously like play different scenarios, but then I'm buying all sorts of stuff for it. I got enough to buy, and like just the gameplay itself, like so this is a nitpick, but I really can't stand when a game will like, okay, your piece is here, now you solve this puzzle. Like a puzzle, like, you know, like a little matching blocks or whatever it is. And usually it's the person that's like barreling forward. His intelligence is 2, and, you know, and like they're just stumbling into it. And then like now all of a sudden they have to solve a puzzle, and it's like, no, they have to solve the puzzle. And, you know, and they only have like the 2 stats intelligence. You only get like a couple of tries, and you have like, you know, if you want the 8 intelligence person to get it, so they don't happen to get it, that's like a niggle, but like it's annoying.
It
makes
sense though. I mean, you know, if you get the dumb person with you who's better, you know, you get the hard nut or something. It's like, you know, monsters are going to come. You need the guy to deal with that, but if, you know, he obviously never watched a lot of Krypton Factor when he was young or something. You know, he's not great with puzzles, so therefore he's going to take longer to do one of those, you know, puzzles. Whereas
it makes sense. You know, it makes sense as a like it makes sense. That doesn't mean it's fun. Like it isn't fun to watch the intelligence 2 guy. And in real life, the person who's just kind of muddling through it, costing you all of your time.
Well, you could put it
down.
That's
the reason why you lost your scenario.
Yeah, that's him hogging the spotlight. You know, he could put it down and say, "Okay, I'm not going to understand this very well. I'll go check out that room and see what's in there. Jenny, are you going to come around here and sort this puzzle out? Sweet. Okay, we'll put it down for the minute. You know, get on with the story. Everybody's got their roles. You know, that's just the selfish person wanting the puzzles."
By the time you work all of that out, the game timer has ticked down, and I guess that's the point, because there's always a game timer. You know that the Mythos deck is getting more powerful. The fire is spreading on the deck and everything. You have very limited time and resources to be able to mess with that. I feel like they didn't quite get that balance right of like, okay, you're setting a mood and you want to like create a different experience, but it's still a game at the end of the day that I want to win. I mean, the worst, most enervating feeling in the world. I got sucked into one of the 8-hour scenarios. I'm like, all right, let me just try it and see what happens. And it's like, oh.
They're not meant to be 8 hours, but yeah, I mean, it's
the long
the long ones can be long. I mean, like I say, this is why I would cap it with, you know, 2 players co-op's fantastic. 3 works if everybody knows what they're doing. Solo, I have a blast with this one.
Yeah.
But you do have the advantage with this one that you can save your progress. You know, because it is long, and I don't expect people to do start to finish all the way through. The app will save your progress. You can put the game away, or if you've got a Geekerson table, just put the sleeves over the top or something. You know, specific, but yeah. And yeah, you can just come back to it. It's like, oh, shall we resume the adventure? And it's almost like you left it on a cliffhanger. You know, it's like the big elder, like Cthulhu monster star spawn shows up, and suddenly it's like, to be continued. Cue the music. It's like.
So I mean, okay, it's not a bad game, at all. So like I have nitpicks with it in terms of the length and how you feel with it. It's a good game, and I definitely agree with you on the solo part. I think if it had a different IP, like if this was Fallout, and spoiler alert, the Fallout cooperative game is not on our list.
That's not even a co-op though. Oh wait, you're talking about the old one, not the new one.
Talking about the board game, Fallout the board game that just came over from Fantasy Flight.
That was a co-op, was it?
Yeah, it was a co-op. It's not on our list.
I've not actually played it, to be honest.
Okay, it is not good. It's not.
I've
That's not
barely
the
played
game.
the Fallout
They
games.
took
I didn't have
that.
much interest in it, and I heard it was like 3 hours long, or 2 to 3 hours long for randomness. It's like, yeah,
Not good. Not a good game. But if they took, although the quest system in Fallout was really good, I really hope that they do something else with that quest system. Anyway, sidebar. If they took that IP and put it out in this engine, I may enjoy it a lot more.
nah,
So I'm not a big Arkham guy. You're a much bigger Arkham guy than I am. So
I do like the
that,
stories.
at
in
the end
that,
of the day, I can still recognize that it's a good game. I have my quibbles with it. The IP isn't singing with me, but hey, good game.
I
So,
know what I would love though. I hate Betrayal on House on the Hill, but if you could take that scenario setting of just random horror stuff, like talking dolls and werewolves and vampires and all the other types of horror, put this engine on top of it, that I would sing for. That I would like to see.
Cool. So that is our number 27. We are barreling up that list, man. Barreling up the list. Hopefully we make it all the way to the 21 so that my poor phone's at 8%. It was probably going to die at some point.
Well, I've got the sheets. So.
Let's do it. All right. So number 26, number 59 on Luke's list, number 21 on my list. As opposed to like a giant game, which is going to make Luke, have to do stretches before and after this thing. This is one of the smallest games that on the list.
Which is why you're lifting it.
There it is. That's why it's in my collection.
Yes.
Codenames Duet. So this is Codenames. It is Codenames, and it is Codenames. If you don't like Codenames, this game does not do anything like truly special to make you want to like Codenames. It has the same formula. There's a spy master, and you want your person to guess what it is. The Codenames innovation, though, and the reason why this works as a really great co-op is that you guys are alternating spy masters. So like one spy master is going to give that other person clues, and then once that all happens, then the other person takes on a role of a spy master. They have a double-sided clue card, so you're discovering different whatever it is, agents or whatever.
Whatever.
And there's assassins on both sides of the cards.
It's a word game.
Yeah, the theme was barely there in Codenames. It's even less there in this game. But it's an awesome little game. I play with my wife. My wife is she does not play games at all, but she'll play Codenames. She likes a good old word game or whatever it is, and she likes this game. You can play it like team versus team style, so like you can get your party atmosphere all there. I think this is a really solid package. I'm happy to play it anytime. I mean, it's on your list, so it's obviously pretty good, but
I've just kind of burnt out on the Codenames formula for a lot of it. I mean, I do think it's decent, hence I wanted to rate it quite high, because I think it works. And I did play it with my girlfriend at AirCon, and she liked it, although she's not the quickest at taking her turns, and it still suffers from the usual Codenames problem, which is, it's like, right, my turn now. 30 minutes later, it's like from SpongeBob. You can be sat there in total silence taking a turn. It's unless you enforce some kind of timer, and that's usually a problem with that. I burnt out on the normal Codenames. I kind of I'm kind of done. I've got Decrypto in the other room to review. Actually, I'm thinking that might try and be a successor. The thing is, with Duet, it does work quite nicely. It is just the two of you. It is hard as all get out. I mean, this is a hard one to win. But you still get the chance to be spy master both ways, which is always good. The best way I've ever played Codenames Duet, though, requires a bit of an investment because you need Codenames Duet and you need pictures. I prefer the pictures to the words because you've got so much more leeway to come up with clues. My problem with Codenames in general is that when you use the normal words, you are so restricted. You can have a Codenames Duet game where you get like 5 fruits and you've got like perfect fruit 5. But then you'll get other times where you've got to try and relate horse to love to staple. It's not something you get these words that are just no way can you link them, and there's not enough time for you to be able to do one at a time. So you find yourself getting hosed just because the grid was evil to you. And that's a slight put off I have with it. But it works for the majority of the time, and it is dirt simple.
Yes, very important. I actually mixed my Codenames Duet. If you see back here, what do I got?
You got Disney one?
Yeah, son, there it is. Codenames Disney. I'm a father. Of course, we got to. This is how I learn because I didn't watch too much Disney after I was like 10.
Doesn't that
So
have
like
like
I have to fill in all the Disney.
doesn't that have
And
some
this
weird
is
rules though with how that works? Because it's not quite like the original code names, isn't it? It's like weird thing when you flip the pictures over and stuff. Like the word on the other side doesn't seem to match what the picture is. Is that what I've heard?
well, no. There's a word you can either play with the word or the picture. That's it.
Oh right.
That's it.
Oh, I see. Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'd use the pictures
So like
anyway.
if I have no freaking clue what the picture is, and or I can't like this little snowman over here. I don't know what the stupid snowman is. Uh,
Well, you have watched Frozen, right? Go on. As soon as you
I
said,
have not. No, I've not. I'm Moana. This is the Moana house.
fair enough. I watched that
Yeah,
recently. That is very good. But
very
yeah,
good.
as soon as you
So you could
mentioned
swap
this
in.
little
Yeah,
snowman, I knew it was Frozen before you even showed me the picture. It's like, what else has got a famous little snowman on it? But okay, fair enough. I mean, I haven't tried the Disney one. I
you
wouldn't
could
mind
swap
trying
in
it.
any set, and they're gonna release more and more sets.
Yeah,
It's just a really awesome little.
yeah, milk the cash cow. I want to try the Marvel one.
Yep. That is Codenames Duet. So the next one is we're gonna make Luke bend over one more time,
Oh,
or
we
pick
have
up the
to.
webcam one more time.
No. I can actually just get the tray because I haven't put it together. Because I mean, this one is god. Yeah, because I also need to get the webcam on my view
This
of the
is
mouse because I'm the
Legendary
one handling the technical
Encounter.
stuff in it. This would be technically it's Alien and Predator in here. I basically sort of mix the two together and that, but yeah, it takes you a while to get all these BGG dividers. I can tell you that, but
Mhm.
um,
So this is our number 25, Legendary Encounters.
yeah. So the stuff on the where my where my thumb is pretty much the Alien stuff, and the other side is Predator. But I like Legendary Marvel. I do give it props, but I rate the encounter system better. It's still,
Five.
hmm?
If you're number 5,
Yeah,
big, real high.
yeah, exactly. I mean, not much higher than Marvel, but yeah, it was, this one in particular because Firefly is okay. Predator is decent. Alien's my favorite, and a lot of that just comes from the fact that, well, two reasons. One, the encounter system works nicely. I like how when the cards come out, they're face down. It works brilliantly with the theme. I mean, this is like one of the most thematic deck builders you can do, and to make a deck builder thematic is really tricky.
Really hard. Really hard.
But they're coming out face down, so you've got to scan the cards separately. I like that they tie the stories into the actual movies. So you can mix and match, but you could just say, you know what, I just want to play the original Alien film. But you've got the extra cooperation aspect with the coordinate action card. So if I've got this card, I can use it on your turn to help you with something, and that's always a good one for it. But two other things. One, I just love Aliens. I think not literally, but the Aliens, the saga. I love the Alien movies to an extent. Alien 1's the best horror film ever made. Alien 2 is just such a cool, cheesy action film. Alien 3 director's cut is alright. It's alright. I can watch it. Alien Resurrection is a pile of rubbish, but, it had problems. And yeah, granted, I mean, it's weird. I love the Aliens franchise, but ever since Alien 3 director's cut, it's just gone completely downhill, and all this Prometheus and Alien Covenant stuff is just ruining it now, which I feel bad, but I've read books, and I still just like the aliens in general. The other thing that certainly sings this one for me is that it's got the best way to die in any game ever. From a thematic perspective, this whole chest burster thing of if the facehugger card comes out, which freaks me the hell every time I see it because I hate spiders, but the facehuggers freak me the hell out, but you get the facehugger card, and if you don't kill it within a turn or so, it lays a chest burster inside you. So basically, you put the card in your deck discard pile, and then you play for the game as normal. But as soon as you shuffle your deck again, as soon as you draw that chest burster card, it comes out and you die. That is just the best way to simulate a truly thematic way for your character to get axed off. Because now you're on that tension ticking clock. Also, it's like we got to finish. Come on, I'm almost there. And it's such a good way for them to inject the theme in it. So yeah, definitely this one's a high note for me. I wish Upper Deck would organise their cards when they send it to you, but yeah, the expansion helped as well. You can now play as the Queen, and you got some custom scenarios and even more ways to make the difficulty different. It's not as bloated as Marvel in any way, so you can, you've got your avatar with special abilities. I just really get a kick out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not as many expansions, better balance, so you're less likely to get that kind of swingy game. The encounter system really works, as you say. I'm just not, I guess I just don't love the system in general. So it did make 75. That's kind of, kind of high for me. considering that Marvel has barely made the list for me. So
I don't think
I do recommend Alien.
I don't think you go as mad for deck builders. Well, actually, maybe with one or two exceptions. I suppose maybe that's not quite accurate.
There's one coming up.
There's a few. I'm looking ahead. Yeah, there is a couple that you do rate
There's
highly.
a
And to be,
it's legendary, dude. It is not deck builder. It is legendary.
Right.
It is just not vibing with me, but whatever.
Yeah, and if we can call Mage not a deck builder, but
you have fun. All right, so
I will have
this
thematic
is
fun. You go as sooner or later. I'll finish this game, and you'll still be working out if you're going to storm that castle later on, aren't you?
All right, so this is our number 24. We are really getting to the nitty gritty of co-op games. You're gonna have heard of a lot of these games. We're hitting some of the classics. So this one is our highest hidden trader game. Well, kind of our highest hidden trader game. There is a kind of hidden trader coming up later, which is I think it's a weird one. We'll get to that when we get to that.
Justification for that, but this is your baby compared to mine.
Here we go. Dead of Winter. So Dead of Winter is probably the seminal hidden trader game. This started with Shadows over Camelot, then we got Battlestar Galactica, which is a really, really long one. We won't tell you whether Battlestar Galactica is going to be higher on our list or not. We'll see if that's the one I'm thinking of. But Dead of Winter, a Crossroads game, is excellent. Love it. It is survivors in an apocalypse, only you're not just like mowing down zombies. You are, hunkered down in your little hut, and the zombies are kind of like just walking in there. They're building up, and the goal isn't to kill them unless the scenario card tells you that the goal is to kill them. For the most part, you're trying to like go out to these different locations, and you're searching decks. And as you're searching the decks, you could possibly draw more zombies to you. There's this stupid 12-sided dice. That encounter dice that the dread of rolling that thing when you move from place to place. It's like, okay, am I fine? Or am I going to get frostbite? Or am I just going to die?
Yeah, you want to talk about swinginess. Come on.
I have seen people, because you start off with 2 survivors, I've seen people in turn 1 take both of their survivors out of the camp and just die. Yeah. That is crazy. So, but theme, mood, story, didn't even mention the crossroad card. So like there's also a system, which is why it's called the Crossroads game, where another player will pull a story card from the deck, and you could do things in your turn where you can trigger it, and all of a sudden the game stops and you read some flavor text, and it's always kind of cool short story type thing, and you have like an option. It gives you an option. So like you meet a strange girl on the road, she's glowing radioactive green. Do you say hi, give her a lollipop, or do you shoot her in the face? High five. And it's pretty thematic, so you have to make that choice while you're there, and sometimes the group has to make a choice. There's also the trader, so like there's a trader that can kind of mess everything up, and the game is best with the trader. You can play this game without, like Shadows of Camelot, you can play it pure co-op. They do have a mode where like it just makes the game harder, so it is a more challenging co-op, but it's not quite as good. There are better survival co-ops out there. In fact, we got one behind me right now. If you want to play co-op, Dead of Winter, I recommend. Where is it? Where'd it go?
What are you looking for?
There it is. Salvation Road is a post-apocalyptic co-op game that really, really works. But if you want that hidden trader goodness,
I might try that one.
Dead of Winter is your jam.
Definitely.
So that was my number 10. I love this game.
Yeah, I debated whether I was going to rate this one at all. I gave it a little bit because you can play this in full co-op mode, can't you? I know
it's not as good. It's not as good.
Hard to say. I actually quite liked it in full co-op mode because the problem. Well, we'll get on. Well, here's one nitpick. You mentioned the crossroad cards. Great idea, great system. A rough percentage. How many of those cards have triggered in your games?
Somewhere between 0 and 50.
50. Yeah, right. Honestly,
I said somewhere between there.
It's a cool system, but you just read those cards and they just never trigger. It's you get the occasional card that will trigger every single game because it's literally a case of, are there zombies on the board? Well, yeah, duh. So it's like, so that one triggers, and then the other ones you get, like majority of that deck is Sally playing? If so, is she currently facing the current orbit of Mars? And is And are there at least as many zombies as the square root of 71? You know, it's ridiculous what conditions they put in those cards that they just never trigger. But, you know, it's a minor gripe. The reason I wasn't as keen to rate this one at all, even though I did eventually give it, what did I make, like 66? Yeah, so I gave it some props. A lot of people can argue, I almost debated whether I wanted to consider this a co-op at all. Because, for the start, the zombies don't matter. You are literally just, every single game is basically, right, begin the game, go to locations, search for the deck, search for the deck, search for the deck. It's basically Betrayal on House on the Hill with zombies. But the other thing is, not the hidden traitor thing. I mean, that's cool. But I think if you had the hidden traitor alone, then great. But those objectives, I think, screw it up a bit. Because everybody is a traitor. You know, because everybody is gunning for their own thing, and if I love it. Yeah, but if they don't get their objective, then they don't actually win. So
they're gonna tank the game.
Yeah. So why would you win? Why would you care if the colony survives? If you know you're trying to survive together in this apocalypse, you've got to work together. This is like, yeah, there is no Lone Ranger, but I would rather see the colony burn. Mainly because I couldn't get enough tins of baked beans. You know, if I don't have all the toothpaste in the colony, therefore colony burns. You know, it's a really weird thing, and so there isn't technically enough cooperation. It's just, what's it called? Victims of circumstance, or friends of circumstance. You know, where you're working together, but you're looking at your own agenda. So I don't care if you're like with me or doing your own thing. I need these baked beans, and they're mine. It's just
awesome.
It's
so
weird.
This is the game I was talking about. Salvation Road is a pure co-op in a post-apocalyptic world. If you like post-apocalypse, it's a pretty good one. So
I've seen the cover, never seen it played, and I think I wasn't able to get a review copy of it. I think it looked either half generic, or I didn't recognize the publisher or designer or something, and I just sort of glossed by it. But maybe I'll have to give that a try.
Well, this is Van Ryder Games. Van Ryder Games, they do stuff.
Oh, Van Ryder.
And
okay.
It's my number 98 on my personal list. So when we get to talking about like the games that did not make our list, there's going to be a whole pile of stuff that Luke and I will share. That I will make one list and not the other, whatever it is. But that is Dead of Winter. That is our number 24. We are streaking up the list. Let us hit our number 23. Hold on. So I'm in my basement right now. I don't know if you could hear. My wife is flushing the toilet.
No.
We good?
Yeah, I didn't hear
Good.
that.
Okay. Cut that out. But I'll put a little picture of a toilet.
No, I'm not having that much work, all right? Everyone else can imagine it. To be fair, you're sat in the basement. Just assume you're sitting on one all the time.
There you go. So I mentioned the heist game. Professor Evil is one of my favorite heist games. I like this one a little bit better. Luke also likes this one. This is his number 44, my number 31. We are talking Burgle Brothers.
Yeah, this is the best one so far. I mean, I wish Perfect Crime was out. Sadly, I mean, do you know what the history of that one?
Never heard of it.
Well, Perfect Crime, there's a publisher in Cornwall, the county next to where I'm from, and Grubbling Games, I think it was, and they were doing a heist game which could be played competitive, it could be played one versus many, it could be done full co-op, and you took control of these bandits, and you were heisting a bank, and you had the floor plan of the bank, you had the guards going round, you could get equipment ahead of time, you planned the heist, you could decide whether you wanted to go in like strategically and surgically and get all the codes broke, or you could just ram raid the place and try and go in quick before the cops arrive. It looked sound from a thematic perspective. Mechanically, I wasn't certain if it was going to work. It's probably been delayed indefinitely, though, because unfortunately the guy who was designing it was taken seriously ill at some point last year, and ever since then, I don't think he's fully ever recovered, and God knows what's ever going to happen with this game. I think it was one of those failed, like, one of those Kickstarter projects that funded but will never get seen the light of day, or at least not for ages. It's a shame, but yeah, for now, I think this is the best heist game we've got.
So I have no idea we went on that 3-minute tangent. We have 100 in games. We don't need any more. Especially games that don't exist. No, this game, it totally exists. Not only did that, it exists as an app as well. So Tim Fowers does have like the in-house app development. He did the app for Paperback. He did the app for Burgle Brothers as well. Also two very solid apps. Kind of forbidden. It could be in the Forbidden series. basically. So like you're moving around tiles and you're trying to rob a bank. The bank represented by 3 floors of tiles, and you're flipping over tiles and stuff happens. So like, you can go into the tool shed and you get a tool that you can do a special power on. You could, trip some lasers. You could, set off a fingerprint alarm. You can do all this stuff. While you're doing all that, there's a guard that's animated by a deck of cards. So you're trying to avoid the guard and crack the safe in each individual floor. And if you're playing in the base game, there's 3 floors and escape. Pretty simple. Lots of cooperation, especially as you get into the game. You're going to want to spread out to different floors to kind of like keep the guards occupied and everything, or like send one person ahead, and let them kind of explore and all kind of stuff. Or like one person's exploring the floor and the other person's like putting dice in the safe, so you can kind of split up talk that way, because the safe roll is a die roll. So, and the more actions you spend on the safe, the more dice you roll. So you probably want somebody camped on there and blah, 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 blah. Really, really fun. The balance can be a little wonky. I mean, you can come up with some unwinnable scenarios. I've run into them. It's not that often, but it is there. So some people get annoyed by that, by like, you can get kind of killed by randomness. There's so many random elements, but generally I have a good time with it. It's really probably the most thematic game. I'd say it's in like the top 5 or 10 like awesome theme delivers an awesome theme games on our whole co-op list. It's just dripping with theme, good mechanisms as well. I can't say enough about it. That's Burgle Brothers.
I was sort of thinking about the theme aspect. Yeah, but it is fairly strong. I'd probably say it is that. You like it more than I do. I still think it's pretty good. But I only want to play this with so many players, because I have played a full player count of this, and it just goes on way too long. If you have
that just seems like a theme. Like so many of these games, just don't play them at full player count.
Well, no, you shouldn't. But the problem is, you don't always get the choice, especially when it's someone else's game. It's always that way of like, oh yeah, we could play this really cool game, and there's only 3 of us. Fantastic. How many players does it take? 5, but we won't speak of that. And then suddenly the inviter in your group, the second anybody walks past, is like, oh, do you want to play this game? It's like, what part of this sucks at 4 to 5 did you not hear? And then you feel like a jerk, because you either have to be a jerk and say no, you can't play for the good of the group, or you invite them in knowing that you're going to be there going, hurry up. It drives me nuts. And Burgle Brothers does have that.
Inviter, that is great.
That is what I call them, yeah, the inviter. Who wants to invite everybody in the kitchen sink to their game.
We're running on long because Luke is talking about everything but the games.
Hey, excuse me. Interesting stuff.
Let's finish this off, man. All right. So number 22. This is one of your babies. Number 9.
Because I don't want to get to 21. That's big.
61 on mine. So look at that. We're gonna do our dueling show and tell over here.
I'm surprised you got it.
Mysterium. I like this game. I like it. I like it. Don't love it. Yeah. But you tell me why you love it.
Was it? This is a single digit one. 9. Well, I love Dixit already. Dixit's a solid game. I love it a bit. So now I get Dixit with Cluedo. What's not to like?
Right.
Whether I'm playing the investigators or the site or the ghost itself, I love playing a ghost in this. I love that tension of, oh, I got to use these Dixit cards to portray the message, and you're just sitting there going, shut up. He's got it right. Is that you can't say anything. But even as an investigator, you're getting into the ghost's head and trying to work out from these, this deduction game. So neither of the roles is not interesting. Theme dripping off it. It's a solid production. I saw the Portal version, the what's it called, the Polish one. That was fine.
Display Domostro. Oh my God,
whatever,
it's something like that.
It's something like that.
Whatever.
But, yeah, much prefer like this particular copy. But every time I get it out, I never have a failed game with it. Whether I have to pretty much play it on at least medium difficulty, if not hard, because I find it's a bit too cakewalky otherwise. But even with a mixtured group. But yeah, just never had a dull game of it. Either way, I'm having fun. Everybody else is having fun. It can do up to 7 players, so it takes care of a horrible dreaded player count. It takes a tiny bit long with 7, but you're engaged throughout. I don't feel like I'm bored waiting for things to happen, because either side you're having fun. And the expansions have helped as well, because now you've got more card variety with all the locations and even the Dixit cards. The latest one, have you got Secrets and Lies in yours?
No. Just the base.
Alright, the expansions help a lot, because they just give you more art cards, more characters, location, that. But the Secrets and Lies is definitely recommended because it gives you a replacement for the weapons story cards, and you can choose either or. I personally would use the story cards all the time because the weapons they're kind of restrictive, aren't they? There's only so much you can describe on them. The story cards give you something the same size as the location card with silhouetted people, and it gives you a scene. So it could be like a seance, it could be horse races, somebody's burning documents, somebody's noticed their wife and husband kissing in the background or something, and it gives you a story element as to why the murder took place. Not only does that just paint a really cool thematic story that the ghost can paint, but it gives you more leeway to use the Dixit cards to really get a message across, and people can go off on tangents. So definitely recommend that expansion. But yeah, I've never had a bad game of this. I just love it.
Do you play with the voting?
The voting for
get it right, get it wrong, all that stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh,
I love that.
I can't stand it. It just makes it like it's a cool experience, and I like Mysterium a lot. And I'll play either one. I'll play it as the giver or the seance person. Like I'm not that type of gamer, so like I'm not. If I'm gonna play a large player count game, I'd rather play like a Shadows of Camelot type thing or a couple of other ones. So I guess it's more of a genre thing.
Yeah.
It'd probably be in like the 40s, somewhere around there, which is a really, really high thing for me. Like I have a ton of co-ops that I love. But like the voting where you can vote on like, did this person get it right or did this person get it wrong, just adds a layer of complication. It's like, come on. Just the original game.
Put a tick down if you think it's right, put a tick. If it's wrong, put a cross. And
I don't want to have to think about that. I just want to deal with me.
I would play. Can
I just do me, please?
If you take that out, that's fine. I would happily play it either way.
That's the only way I play.
I've got no problem. I've got no problem if you take them out, but I find it generates a lot of laughs because you get people, that are, they chuck the tokens down, then you get the reactions of the other player or something. It's like, I reckon it's this maid. It's totally this maid. It's like, and somebody like chucks a cross on you, and it's like, oi. Excuse me. Oh, what do you think it is then, Buster? So you got this like banter between them, and it's just quite hilarious when especially if a couple of people have only got crosses left. So there's like, well, I'll chuck them on yours. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I've got to use it up. So chuck all the crosses on yours. Like, we have no faith in your detective ability. So it just generates a bit of comedy. But yeah, I can take it or leave it. If you don't want to use it, I'll still play it.
Yeah, so the strong game. I'd love to play it. Just the voting kind of took it down for me a bit, but it's good. I do like Mysterium. It has a permanent place in my collection. I don't have another game like it. That's the bottom line. There is like Dixit is like it, but it's not cooperative.
Have you tried to play it with Dixit cards though?
No.
If you want to play it on insane mode, yes. The cards in this game are designed to work in conjunction with the maids and stuff like that. If you play with normal Dixit cards, you are playing on insanely hard mode.
There you go. All right, so that is Mysterium number 22. So number 21, you may be surprised. You may be... Uh-oh, where'd he go? Where's he going? Oh.
That's why I've been going on tangents, because it delays getting to this one. I wish I hadn't rated it as highly as I did.
You may be surprised that it is this low on the list. It is not my fault. It is this man's fault, the broken Meeple over here.
Oh yeah, I mean, fanboys are going to scream. I'm going to wait to hear their screams.
This is not my fault. It is number 3 on my list. It's in the 60s for Luke. He regrets every minute of putting it in his 60s.
If anything, I'd rather put it lower down, but there were games that I hadn't played.
Gloomhaven! There you go. I can't even put my face in the screen anymore. It's just
improvement.
There it is.
Yes, I can feel
in all its glory. Yes, it is as heavy.
I can feel the anger of the fanboys. Give in to your hatred.
I love Gloomhaven. It is an awesome dungeon crawler. It gives me that Mage Knight feel, but with a campaign. Mage Knight's a little bit higher for me, but that's just splitting hairs at that point. I mean,
it's like not much higher.
Yeah, 3-2 or whatever it is. Like tomato, that kind of thing. They scratch different itches. So like, I mean, Gloomhaven is just I can't even describe it. It's a dungeon crawler, but it's a Euro. It has card play. It has hand management. It has a lot of content, a lot of different scenarios. It has tactical areas, dudes in the map stuff. It has an evolving story. The story is probably the weakest part but it's still there and it's cool to think about. The lore is cool. There's original characters, not just like, mage or wizard. It has like these different kind of unique takes on the different classes, like the crag card. What's a crag card? Well, it's right here in front of you. Play it. Figure it out. So good. Although I think I know what you're going to say, Luke, for a criticism, but I want you to say it because I want it to be clear that you are the person.
Hey, what?
You are the hater.
You've only got one
That's
the thing. It's not that I hate the game. If
hater.
For me to actually put it in, well, I would probably rank it a bit lower now. But I mean, if to put it in the 60s in the first place means I still got to give it some credit. Not just for everyone out there that's enjoying it, but for what I got from it. But the amount of buzz and hype this thing is getting, it's starting to get on my nerves now. So it just has...
What's wrong with it? What is your problem with Gloomhaven?
Get the list. No, it's the Papyrus list. Firstly, I don't care what you call this. This is not a... Well, it's mostly for the Dice Tower Awards recently are saying this is not a strategic game. It's not that difficult. It is not innovative. We have... Just because you put a little deck of cards and say you can modify it does not mean it's innovative. It's just a custom die. That's pretty much the same that, but that's nitpicky. Main things with this, a lot of these dungeon crawls are the same thing. Go into a bandit's lair or a dungeon and steal some loot, but they take like ages and hours to finish the scenario. I mean, when you play that first scenario, especially when you're learning the game, it takes like 3+ hours, and this is like a 3-room dungeon of which they all look generic. It's like, here's generic square room, here's generic triangle room, I don't know, and it...
Don't forget generic V room.
Yeah, V room. It's that. Costs 130 pounds in the UK to get it now. You pretty much have to wait for a reprint or get it on Kickstarter, so it's a bit like Seventh Continent. It's one of those things that's like, oh, not proper retail release. But I don't know, I thought it was fine, but everyone's lording over it, and I just can't see why, because when I play a dungeon crawl, I want that immersive, almost like the chaotic, I want the die rolls, I want the classic, go up, I will slay the dragon with my cool flaming sword +2 or something like that. This one for me fills with the same problem that Legends of Andor does. It's less of a dungeon crawl, less of a thematic immersive game, and more a puzzle. Right. Because those card systems, which again, not that innovative. We have seen multi-use cards before. It's not that different, but it's a puzzle game. You know what the enemy's going to do. Because, you flip that deck over and it tells you what they're going to do, like react, and it's like, well, that would never happen in real life. It's like, I can't predict that the enemy's going to charge me or go back or something, so why does that work? And then, most of the time you're discussing the best way to play your cards in your hand, which weirdly have the fatigue system as well, which, I don't get as well, because it's like, you tire out very quickly for some hardened adventurers, particularly some of the characters. And you just other little niggles, like, the loot, for example. You have to play a card.
Can't pick up loot at the end of the game.
Yeah, but you have to play a card to pick up the loot. And if you finish the scenario, any loot that's on the floor or not explored is gone. What? I killed the skeletal overlord in the room. Did I not have time to just bend down and pick up some change? Did I suddenly look at that iron chest over there and thought, no, you know what? I've killed the guy. I feel pretty good about myself. Ooh, going down to the pub. But what about that chest over there with like tons of loot in it? Nah, ain't got time. Bar shuts at 11. We got to get going. It's like, why? Little niggles. But and like I said, a lot of it is more probably nitpicks compared to what other people would fault it on. But it's just all of those combined. The game for me just feels like another dungeon crawl, but for twice the cost and time and like 20 times the time investment. It's fine.
You're here.
It's okay. You're just not my thing.
You are poo-pooing the hand management. Once you get into the game itself, you get past those first couple scenarios and you develop your characters. You get better, improved cards in your hand. You can improve that quote-unquote die deck so that better and better cards coming out of that. The hand management, you are there for that. If you're not into that, then fine. Mage Knight has the same thing. Yeah. It's a hand management game. And that's where the puzzle comes in. So that's what you are doing in this game. If you don't like it, fine. But it is lovely. I love just so many. Like Spirit Island is the same way. Like Spirit Island is it's card play basically, but you have to just spend so much time thinking about the most optimal way of playing the cards. There's that top half and the bottom half. Do I play the top half of this, bottom half of this? When do they spring off? Like, do I want a fast attack? Do I want a slow attack? I mean, like you get into that headspace so easily, and with the tactical movement, you can really cooperate in that way. So it's like, I'm the big tank. And I'm going to take all these guys and you're going to run in and catch the sorcerer who's running away. I don't know all the scenarios. I haven't gotten very far in this game at all. I just love, whatever I've done. I can't wait for more. That is Gloomhaven.
Some people actually get more loot just because they got more loot cards in a deck. If you're the Guardian, you never get any loot, because you're too busy taking damage.
You don't need it.
And you can't actually tank with the Guardian. The Guardian dies really quickly as a tank. It's like, he's supposed to be the tank. But I played somebody's campaign. I played for about 8 scenarios. Leveled up the character, did it for a bit, gave it a chance, because I thought, am I missing something here? I got to carry on with it and see. But then after the 8th scenario, I thought, this is just another dungeon crawl. Insert fantasy theme here. Who cares if it's unique? It's another fantasy generic theme. I'm done. Someone take over the character. And I was just like, yeah, I'm
hate mail, brokenmeeple@gmail.com.
I already put this on my
comments.
I already put this on my top 10 overrated games list, and believe me, that gets. The thing is, I get both sides of the coin. I get the ones who love it to bits. I get the ones who can't stand it or something. There are haters out there for that game. It's just the lovers speak so highly of it, and BGG's system is so broken that it can get to number 1 literally by just winking at it.
So that is Gloomhaven, our number 21. So we are on the precipice of our favorite games. And I think both Luke and I agree. They're not just our favorite co-op games of all time. They're just our favorite games of all time. And I think
there's some beauties coming. And
there are some real beauties coming. You're going to hear some love. There's still going to be disagreements. Don't you worry. Because I know some of you guys like when we go back and forth. So we're going to have some of that too. But some of the games that are coming up, some of our favorites, the indispensable, in our opinion, to our collection.
Are you happy? So, are you quite all right, though, that Gloom didn't make the top 20?
I'd say, look, man, Mage Knight was number 52.
True, yeah, Mage Knight was lower down, wasn't it? Yeah. Don't worry, we got some.
Don't worry, it's all good. It's all good. All right, so this is Jason from Every Night is Game Night. That's Luke for the Broken Meeple. We will see you next time for our top 20 co-ops of all time.